My Pinterest account just got banned. But it's not all bad news. Now, I made this one crucial mistake, and if you're not careful, you can make the exact mistake too. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly how that happened, the three most common types of Pinterest bans, and importantly, the step-by-step fix to protect your account for good. Now, stick around to the end, as this video could save your traffic, your income, and your entire business. Let's get into today's video. Now, as I mentioned, this isn't all bad news, and I'm going to share with you the exact steps in this video of how my account got banned, why it happened, why I will probably never do this again, and why you should definitely take on board this advice and make sure that you follow the instructions in this video if you want to keep your account in the best health possible. Now, small caveat, I have more than one account on Pinterest, and I have really big accounts that are responsible for a lot of traffic every single month, and I have kind of smaller accounts that I'm building up. Sometimes I'm testing new things on, and this particular ban happened on a smaller account, and I'm going to share with you that account so you can see when it happened, where it happened, and why. Now, before I get into all of that, I want to share with you the different types of bans so you understand which ban happened to this account, why it happened, and how you can not make the same mistakes. Now, to give you some insights, there are 5 types of bans on Pinterest. The main one, and this is the one that you never want to get, if you get an account ban, it can be really, really distressful for yourself, for your business, and sometimes it can almost be impossible to get the account back. Now, this happens when Pinterest shuts down your entire account and you get an email from them saying something like this. So here's an example of what the account will look like. It'll give you an email from Pinterest. It will say your account's been suspended. It will say look at the community guidelines, and it'll also give you a link just in case they believe it's an error, or maybe you believe it's an error, so you can investigate and probably appeal their decision. Sometimes it will look a little bit like this, but essentially it's the same thing. This one's on the actual Pinterest account itself, and this one will be actually an email that you see in your inbox. So that's the first type. It's probably the worst type, and it's the most difficult to get back, but it's still hope because you can appeal the process. I'll show you in today's video where that is and what the link looks like. The next one, and probably more common, is a shadow ban. Now, again, Pinterest doesn't really give us much information on what shadow bans actually are, if they exist, and what you can do about it. And here what happens is your pins stop very suddenly getting seen. There's no longer much impressions, almost no outbound clicks, and Pinterest, again, as I mentioned, doesn't really tell you why or what you can do about it. Now, this is what happened to the account I'm going to show you today. I believe the account got shadow banned, and I'm going to show you why. So let's go over to the analytics of the account so you can take a look now. So I'm in my account here. So this is the last 30 days of this account. Now, this isn't a new account, so we'll pop back down to the last 60 days so you can take a look at some of the statistics. But as you can see, this account was doing really well in and around January, so around 4,000 to 5,000 impressions per day. And then there's suddenly this drop, which again, to me, could be a shadow ban, but then it popped back up again in the middle of Feb. And then from probably the middle to the end of February, I've had almost no impressions, barring a little bit. And then it's gone back kind of down to 0 here. This is a perfect example of what a shadow ban Pinterest account looks like. So I'll briefly show you the outbound clicks too, so you can take a look at that. It will follow usually the same type of chart. So as you can see, around 100, 200 clicks or so, pops back up here, and then you're getting almost no clicks because you're not getting any impressions. Now, I'm going to explain exactly what happened to this account in a second. I just want to finish off the different types of account bans. Quick pause. If you are enjoying the content and you really want to unlock the next level of success with Pinterest, then I urge you to sign up to my newsletter. I'm sharing the best tips, the most up-to-date tips, things that are working for me in 2025 in detail with step-by-steps of exactly how I am growing my Pinterest accounts across my several accounts, plus all my agency accounts. Plus, I have around 20 or so blueprints that give you the step-by-step methods of how I scale out accounts up to $10,000 with no jargon or fluff. Just exactly what I do and all the tools I use to scale up my Pinterest accounts. If you're interested, this is all 100% free, so please sign up with the link below this video. Let's carry on. Now, next is a domain level ban. Now, this one is a lot easier to distinguish, so it's a lot easier to figure out if the ban's been on a domain level, because very easily when you click on a domain, you'll get an error message from Pinterest saying something along the lines of this domain has been blocked, or there is some type of spam issue with this domain, and it won't let you click through to the domain from Pinterest. Now, it's probably as bad as a shadow ban if I'm being super honest. The difference is you don't know why and when a shadow ban has happened, but with a domain level ban, you do know and you understand what's happened. Pinterest gives you a indication of why you're no longer receiving traffic, and you can of course appeal the decision. Going on from probably not as bad as the top 3 is a pin level ban. This can usually happen if you have just 1 or 2 pins that may have triggered a spam filter along the way, and these particular pins won't get any traction, probably because they've been flagged and they'll lose all impressions and reach. And lastly, linking on from the pin level ban is you can have a keyword and content level ban. So sometimes Pinterest will suppress certain keywords like maybe diet, kiss, or discipline. Sometimes it happens in pretty randomly and sporadically, if I'm being honest. But again, this one you can definitely appeal, or at the very least stop using these keywords if you find out which keywords have been blocked and which ones haven't. Now, back to this shadowbanned account that I've showed you here. Now, the reason I believe, and I'll be super honest with you, this particular account probably received a shadow ban is because I pinned too many times. It probably sounds like very simplistic, but the truth is Pinterest is a very, very complex algorithm. But in terms of when they ban people, it's usually based on very simple things. And I believe this particular account pinned too heavily, even though the account is not new. Now, I always suggest people pin between 5 to 8 new pins per day for a new account. And for this particular account, I pinned probably 10 plus pins per day, 10 to 12 pins per day from around the 4th week onwards, which I wouldn't suggest people do. And this is a clear and obvious reason why you shouldn't do it, because there's just too many pins going through to Pinterest and your account has not got enough data yet. So for me, that was the main reason, because I have, again, more than one account and I have never done this before. I've just tested it on this account and this proves that pinning too frequently does have a big issue on your account. And let's look at a few more reasons. So here are some of the common triggers for getting your account banned. Now, from everything I've learned, and again, I've got a few years of experience now with Pinterest, is these are the main reasons why your account will get bans on all those different levels that I mentioned above. The first one is pinning the same URL too frequently, as you've seen there. The second one is using trigger words in titles and URLs, and I'm going to give you a free tool that you can use to figure out whether you are pinning two trigger words in your pin URLs. Now, this one is quite interesting and a bit difficult to prove, but it is definitely a metric that I think contributed to this particular Pinterest account that I just showed you being shadow banned, is there was poor engagement. Now, there's definitely a really big correlation between poor engagement and too many pins, because if you are flooding Pinterest with too many pins and you're not getting very good engagement, then usually bad engagement will spread across multiple pins, and then you're just going to have all these pins not really getting seen by Pinterest. And the more that happens, the higher the chance of you getting kind of plugged into one of those algorithmic shadow ban filters, which all in all, you definitely don't want to be a part of. So one of the most important things you can do for a new account is look at your engagement metrics on Pinterest. So we'll pop back over to our shadowbanned account. If you want to check engagements, hit engagements here, and then you can see a metric of the engagements right around here. Anywhere in the 5 to 10% range is actually okay. So this probably has not been hit because of engagements. And as you can see, the engagements are up, even though the impressions are down, which probably shows to me that this particular account didn't have an engagement issue. It was more of a multiple and too frequently pinning issue. And just to give you an understanding of what I would suggest, and again, these are just broad metrics that I would suggest in this table below. There are more than one factor when it comes to engagement rates. You want to target between 5 to 10% engagement rates. So for example, for every 10,000 impressions, you want to get between 500 to 1,000 engagements. That's a pretty solid number. And then there are I have some more metrics here for outbound clicks and saves. But again, I wouldn't get too bogged down into the specific details because it can vary on a account by account basis. Now, of course, this is a new issue that's happening more often. If you have too many AI images, Pinterest are probably going to label them as AI. And just generally, a lot of AI images aren't going to be relevant for every single niche. So make sure you bear that in mind too. And that can sometimes link into this particular point, which is you probably will get reported by other users if you have extremely bad AI images and they don't look too human-like, or they're not fit for purpose. So bear that in mind too. Next, I'm going to give you 6 strategies on how to avoid getting shadow banned, but I'm just going to quickly go into one of my case study accounts now. So this is a really good example of what to do. So the right type of metrics to do and the right type of metrics to look for when you are looking at your account. So this is a fairly new account. It's probably around maybe about 4 months old plus now. And with this account, I've definitely been more deliberate with being strategic, following all of the strategies that I'm going to share with you right now. And as you can see, there is an uptick of traffic. There is an uptick of outbound clicks and impressions. And generally, this account is in a lot better order than the previous one that's been shadow banned. So the point I'm making is if you follow the advice, then you will see upticks in your account and you will see growth in your account across the board. So how to avoid getting your account shadow banned. These are those 5 or 6 things that I'd recommend. So first off, you want to vary your content. So don't pin to the same URL, to the same images over hundreds and hundreds of times. I'd recommend pinning 5 URLs per day with 5 unique images per day. So that's 5 different pins per day. Now, if you do your maths, that usually means that you have to rotate your URLs at least twice a week. Sometimes if you have more URLs, you can probably rotate them once per week. Number 2, this is extremely relevant. This is the reason why that account I just showed you is continuing to trend up, and it's because I'm using and creating new URLs regularly, okay? So the more content that you have and the more fresh that content is, and the more that you tailor that content to what's working on your actual analytics account itself, the more you will be rewarded by Pinterest and the more you'll see those upticks in traffic and growth. Now, of course, you do want to avoid sensitive keywords, and there are some niches where this is a little bit more difficult. So, for example, the fitness and dieting niche, sometimes the parent niche as well. But there is a really cool tool that you can use called flagpins.com. This is all free to use. You can type in your Pinterest account in this particular tool, and it will take around about 15 or 20 minutes or so, but it will go through all your pins and see if there are any flag pins. Then you can decide what to do with those pins. Now, as I mentioned, engagement does make a difference, so definitely want to focus on getting more saves and clicks and using high quality images. And again, this is what's happened in this particular account here. So I've focused on what's working and what's not working. And I've doubled down on some of the pins that I believe are generating the most clicks. And I've created better images for those particular pins. And I've created better articles for those type of pins. And all in all, I'm covering all the subjects. Now, lastly, this isn't as relevant as the top 5, but I do think it's worth mentioning. Try to limit using automation tools. So if you're using like 5 or 6 or maybe 3 or 4 different schedulers, maybe just use 1 or 2. You don't want to have too many tools and APIs linked into Pinterest. There's no data to suggest that makes a difference, but I just think it makes more sense to stay on the native platform, use the native scheduler because it's more natural to do. Okay, last point in this video, I wanted to just touch on what you should do if you've been banned or shadow banned in your account. First thing you're going to do is audit your pins. So look for common patterns for flag pins. So use the tool that I mentioned just now. Audit all of your pins, audit what's working and what's not working. And actually, there is a tool that has just been released. I've just got some beta access to this particular tool. It's fantastic. It's super affordable too. It's called Pinner Analytics, and it shows you for a very affordable price how to get insights and check your Pinterest analytics and your data, and gives you information on which pins are doing well, which groups of pins have continued to perform well across your account, and also you can use the tool to audit your pins very easily. So for sure, you want to check out Pin Analytics. As I mentioned, it's super affordable. Now, one of the things that I'm going to do on this account that has been shadow banned is I'm probably going to try new content, and also I'm going to reduce the frequency of my pins on this account, and I'm probably going to start from scratch again. So I'm going to adjust my new boards, I'm going to try some new content, and I'm going to see what happens with Pinterest. Because as I mentioned, with shadow bans, you don't actually get the reason for the decrease in traffic or the decrease in impressions. Now, if your account's been banned via the account ban level, then you have to appeal to Pinterest. Now, they'll send you an email, and in the email, you can appeal the decision. There's usually a custom link that you can use. And super importantly, I just want to make it very clear that if you've done all this above, and you haven't listened to this advice for whatever reason, or by accident you've been entered into a shadow ban or potentially even an account ban, then sometimes it may just be best to start the account from new and start pretty much from the beginning again. And the reason I mention that is you can sometimes appeal to Pinterest for many months to try to get your account back, but they're just going to say no. Now, this is their playground and we are just playing in it. So bear in mind that if all fails, then it may actually be easier, less stressful, and more profitable to just start from scratch using the best practices that I've shared in this video. Now, if you have any questions on Pinterest and account bans, shadow bans, or domain level bans, or any of the types of bans, then feel free to add a comment in this video. Now, I hope that's made a lot of sense. It's been a bit of a detailed video. As you can see, the strategies work, as I've shown in this video. If you want to take your Pinterest campaigns to the next level, I do have an agency, but more specifically, I have a coaching service that you can see, and I'll leave the links below this video. The coaching service is extremely affordable, and it's on a month-to-month basis, so there's nothing locked in, where you get access to me firsthand, and I can specifically go into your campaigns and do this entire strategy, but on a very detailed basis to ensure and kind of guarantee that you see success across your Pinterest campaigns. I can even help you with keyword research, I can help you with optimizations, I can help you with pins. If that's interesting and if you've got value from this video, I'll leave a link below this video. As I mentioned, it's super affordable. But that's pretty much it from this video. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them in the comment sections below this video, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.